Hey everyone, and welcome back. Our last guest is a coach, director, producer, writer, and prison activist. He was the head coach speaker for 10 years with TEDx Teen and works with teenagers in Rikers Island and prisons throughout New York State through literacy for incarcerated teens and The Kite. He runs a live poetry night, poetry in New York, and has his first self-published book of poetry and plays titled Scribbling on Spaghetti. Here to share more, we welcome Galinsky. Hey.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. And hopefully the next time we have you on, it will be in studio as we gradually reopen. And thank you for making the time to be with us. I am in awe over all of the services that you offer. I would like to start with just your role in facilitating the next generation, first and foremost.
Well, Rhina, I feel like I'm on the front line on the war that's been ongoing for decades on white supremacy. Basically, that's where I see myself. And so in order to do that, I don't have to travel too far. I can go right up the road to Rikers Island. I go to the Bronx. I can go to any facility in New York. And the weapons that I'm bringing in are called compassion and empathy. I pretty much go in to the facilities with a bag full of books, papers, pads, pens, scripts, and wherever we fall into it, that's where we fall. If we're reading a book together, if we're writing a poem, working on some rhymes, whatever, that's what I do. And that to me validates whatever experience those young men and women have.
So let's just share with me, I guess, some of your success stories, right? Because this has to be that what you're doing is like a commitment to humanity, right? Because what you're doing is to elevate this generation that has ended up, in circumstances that may not necessarily feed their progression. And so you're up against, the system for that matter. And obviously this is a choice you've made in life. What drew you to do that? And please do share a success story.
As the great Meyer Lansky of the Mafia said, this is the life I have chosen, and this is the life I've chosen. For whatever reason, my DNA calls me to do this. I think there's a legacy of it in my family. My father was a teacher, was a pharmacist, a justice of the peace, a notary of the public, chairman of the Board of Education, town councilman. He served, and that definitely has rubbed off on me. I would say one of the incredible success stories is a young lady that I worked with for about a year during the pandemic on Zoom. I had to talk a number of the facilities into trying Zoom, and remote stuff. They all didn't want to do it. They were all nervous about it. Finally, the few relented. So I was working with this young lady for a year, and then we submitted her for a TED Talk, and she got the TEDx Talk, and she just did it 4 weeks ago. It'll be online soon. And she shared how poetry and writing has helped her decrease the violence and the impulses to be violent in her life. So a kid who was incarcerated at 16, worked with for a year, I said, when you get out, look me up. She did. And she's come down to that poetry night every month from the Bronx to kick her one piece, got the TED Talk. To me, that is just, I go to bed feeling really great about that.
Oh, you should. Absolutely. I'm sure you feel really good about yourself looking in the mirror. Now, let's talk about this poetry night that you have downtown in the Village.
Sure. There's a brilliant place called the Book Club Bar. It's on 197 East 3rd Street. It's a giant bookstore with a little wine and coffee bar run by two incredible people, a husband and wife, Nat and Aaron. And on the third Thursday of every month, I curate 3 poets. I'm always one of them, and there's 2 others. Mel Shante, who I think you guys are familiar with, she's going to be on next month, as well as Alvin Ang from Queens. So it's a nice tight 1 hour, 3 poets doing 15, 20 minutes each max. It's packed. It's always really crowded. And I think it's crowded because one, it's good poetry. It's good performance, it's good art, but also I think people have been tired for the past 2 years of being locked in and having very limited choices of entertainment on their square in their houses, and listening to ill-informed, misguided newscasters doing nothing but spewing negativity and coercive and fascist politicians. And people are tired of that. And now that they get to go out of their house, boom, poetry, original thoughts, groundbreaking thoughts, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harrowing, but they're not these manipulative voices that we've been fed for the past 2 years, many more than 2 years, but because we've been locked down, it's been much tougher, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's why you're here with us, because we try to, combat that in
Exactly.
just bringing out the humanity in the stories. And thank you for mentioning Mel Shante, because her style is really therapeutic. So I dig what you're curating over there.
Cool.
But before we go, we got to talk about your book, because we're running out of time. And I know
Okay.
you self-published Scribbling on Spaghetti.
Yes. Scribbling on Spaghetti is this book. It's 17 poems and it's 6 short plays. Everything in the book has been vetted by my students on Rikers Island. So there ain't no BS in there, because they'll let me know when it's corny. It's just a collection of poems that I've been kicking downtown for a long time. And these short plays, some of them which were produced through a series called Actor Trade Celebrity Scene Spotlight. And my mom passed away in December, and it was kind of sudden, and it just kicked me into another gear. And I was like, why is this on my hard drive and not in a book? And so I went to Amazon and self-published, and it's been great.
That's awesome. And thank you for bringing it here to our viewers. I know you're going to give us a little taste of something a little later. So, you guys, that was Galinsky, but don't go anywhere, because when we return, he's going to perform for us.